Welcome to our 8th episode of Blockchain Bytes. I'm Gautam Paul. Today is Rachael Ireland from Fonterra. Fonterra is New Zealand's largest company, a publicly traded dairy cooperative owned by around 10,500 New Zealand farmers, responsible for approximately 30% of the world's dairy exports and with revenues exceeding billions of New Zealand dollars. Rachael's job is to manage Fonterra's export trade documentation to 140 countries. And in more recent years, this involved participating in exploring innovative solutions for developing a blockchain-based electronic bill of lading product. Rachael, welcome to Blockchain Bytes. Does that introduction sound okay to you? Perhaps you could describe your job a bit more clearly than I can.
Perfect. That intro sounds very good, and thank you for the opportunity to come along and share our blockchain experience. I have been with Fonterra and specifically in the trade documentation landscape for 25 years. And my primary accountability is to manage our regulatory, commercial and trade finance risks by ensuring that Fonterra's export containers are able to be loaded on board vessels and then that our customers are able to clear the product on arrival at destination. So there's a lot of complexity in there, and I'm also responsible for our sample site, our product eligibility team, commercial airfreights, some of our import shipments. So certainly a diverse but rewarding role.
Excellent. And for anyone that might not fully understand how the trade documentation process works, please just give us a bit more insight in terms of what exactly is bill of lading.
Sure. So bill of lading is a critical document within our trade documentation pack. And essentially it's a document that's been issued by a carrier, which is a contract of carriage. And it states all the terms and conditions specific to that carriage and also references specific consignment details. Once goods have arrived at the destination, the bill of lading acts as a title to the goods. So the consignee listed on the bill of lading will need to present that original document in order to obtain release of the cargo. In the Fonterra landscape, we use bills of lading versus seaway bills as a mechanism to mitigate our payment risk as we retain title to the goods until such time as the customer has made payment or made a commitment to pay. So it's very much an essential document in a reasonably significant portion of our overall order book.
And historically, this would have been very, very, very paper-centric in terms of time and signatures and so on.
That's exactly right, for sure.
So what happens when you digitize this process?
Okay, I guess we've been, as part of our digital strategy over a number of years, we've seen the need for an electronic bill of lading to really unlock our complex side of the business. So without an electronic bill of lading, it's a critical roadblock to making some good digital progress. And we have been exploring alternative blockchain and non-blockchain solutions for a number of years now. And we've done a pilot or a proof of concept about 7 years ago on a non-blockchain based solution and certainly proved the theory, but unfortunately for various reasons, it never actually came to fruition. But about 4 years ago, we started hearing about this new and emerging technology called blockchain. And immediately saw a really obvious use case with relation to the bill of lading and managing title to the goods. It was then a bit of a steep learning curve for me to understand what is blockchain and how might we be able to bring this technology about. I'm a business person with limited IT knowledge, so we had to do a lot of research and engage a number of different people to build our knowledge and confirm our assumptions actually around what this solution could and couldn't do. So I've come a long way. I'm certainly no blockchain expert, but I certainly feel we've got enough knowledge to explore the technology in a bit more detail. So that's kind of how it came about.
And I understand that Fonterra was the first company in New Zealand to introduce an electronic bill of lading for shipment of milk powder from New Zealand to China. Is that true? Is that correct?
That's correct. We have done a production pilot to do exactly that for one shipment at this point.
And how did that actually come about? What effect has this had in regard to improving your efficiency and obviously reducing the cost?
Yeah, so it's I guess when you digitize this process, just to sort of set the scene, I guess, as to the life cycle of this particular document. When an original bill of lading is issued by a carrier, it is passed to an exporter via courier or via remote printing scenario.
Mhm.
The exporter then takes that piece of paper and couriers it to their local bank in New Zealand. This is a typical scenario. That local bank in New Zealand then has to courier that paper document to an overseas bank, so the customer's bank. Customer then has to their bank to obtain that bill of lading along with the rest of their commercial documents. They have to pass them to their import broker, who in turn surrenders them to the carrier, all right, which then enables them to uplift their cargo.
Yeah.
So that process in itself can take 10 to 14 days, really. And so that's a lot of handoffs, right? When you think about it, that's 7 different people potentially who are party to that document in its life cycle. All right. So what we set out to do is really look at a solution that mimics that paper process. So the handoffs still occur, but it's done via an electronic permissioned title registry, for want of another word, via a blockchain solution. All right. So those handoffs obviously occur much faster. And really, it took, based on our pilot, we could take 7 to 10 days off the amount of time it takes for that process to work through.
Wow.
Right. So I guess that's a bit of a context too. What does it mean to digitize the process from a benefits perspective and a cost? There's definitely significant benefits in the end-to-end landscape. All right.
And one business person to another, time is money. So
Oh, absolutely.
10 days is over the course of a year. That is fantastic.
Of course, it certainly adds up when you've got a number of transactions as well, like we do. It makes a material difference. So we're able to get those documents there faster, which also creates opportunities for us to look at other blockchain solutions like smart contracts. All right, because if we have a digital bill of lading, that smart contract process could also become an opportunity for us further down the track. But it also enables us to reduce our courier costs. So all of those handoffs, be it domestically in New Zealand or internationally, come at a cost. Less paper, all right, because we're not having to remote print those bills of lading from the carrier. Things get lost as well, unfortunately. When you're couriering documentation cross-border, there is an opportunity for couriers to get lost. So we don't have to deal with that if it's electronic. No on-site printing. We're mitigating risk of fraud and misuse of those documents as well, because they're obviously controlled within a tight, secure environment. And greater visibility of where that bill is at any point in time. Sustainability initiatives, and of course, as you've alluded to, the general internal efficiencies of having an electronic document. Right.
There's a lot of talk around sort of blockchain and energy use and so on. Has Fonterra actually worked out or done a sort of a case study of how much paper they will save over the course of a year by using this?
We have. It's I guess paper is just one part though. So definitely less paper, but the bigger cost savings are really around efficiency and couriers, to be honest. That's a big cost. Yeah. So there's definitely paper savings, but we haven't quantified exactly how much that one would be. But I guess the good thing, I guess one of the good things we've seen from COVID is that there has been a greater acceptance of digital processes as well. It's certainly created opportunities that were potentially harder prior to COVID, but there's certainly been challenges, and I'm sure other people will appreciate, with the various lockdowns around the world and remote working. It's certainly been pretty difficult to move paper cross-border across the end-to-end supply chain. So, we can absolutely see efficiencies of a digitized process with that in mind as well.
And your system, is it now sort of up and running across all your trade operations, or is it still in the pilot stage?
I would love to say yes, it is up and running, but the answer is no. Okay. We conducted our one production proof of pilot, our production pilot, which was successful in achieving exactly what we needed it to achieve. We learned a lot. We learned where obviously some of the challenges were in dealing with new and emerging technologies, which was great. We learned a lot about the solution and the platform that we used as well, which was a very good platform.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, for a number of different reasons, again, we haven't been able to roll it out into full-scale use. The issuer of the document, so the carrier, is really the party that dictates which platform we can use, because I'm sure you can imagine there's a number of different blockchain platforms starting to pop up that do similar things. So we as an exporter are really guided by your carrier network, all right, and which platforms your carriers are prepared to work with. So and we've got to consider the reality is for an electronic bill of lading to be successful and sustainable, it needs critical mass. It needs all of the different parties to the transaction to be involved. And it must therefore be cost effective, easy to use, easy to integrate with, and not have a complex legal framework. So there's a lot of things that we need to work through before we can really bring it to life. All right. But the principle of the solution is good. All right. What it sets out to achieve is good. It's just working with a number of different parties to be able to make it happen.
And is this proprietary IP, or is it actually available off the shelf for any exporter to use?
It's available off the shelf. We're obviously not in the business of developing blockchain solutions per se. That's not our area of expertise. So we have looked at a few different off-the-shelf solutions, and that are good for small, medium, and large exporters like ourselves as well. So no, definitely off the shelf.
Do you think, I'm going to put you on the spot here a bit, Rachael, do you think New Zealand exporters are sort of already embracing this technology for their trade, or is there still a long way to go before we really take it on board here and it gets to that tipping point where it becomes sort of a de facto idea or choice?
I guess in relation specifically to the bill of lading, I'm not aware of anyone else in New Zealand utilising the functionality, but I'm sure everybody would agree that it would be a very viable product to be using. And I think the factors influencing that is probably just a lack of awareness, potentially, around all of these different blockchain solutions and what they can do. But potentially linking back to what makes a sustainable e-bill of lading product as well. That may be holding some people back too. All right. But yes, I know there's a willingness. It's absolutely a willingness in the network to have an electronic bill of lading in place.
Do you think the boardrooms are still sort of spooked by all this technical jargon? I mean, does it sort of help or hinder the sales pitch when you mention something like this and you talk about blockchain-based solutions to sort of the EMTs, the executive management teams in your business? Or does it help your case?
Oh, look, it's blockchain is still new and people don't yet understand its potential. And when I do talk about it, I often get, faces with glazed eyes and confusion. But the reality is, I guess, like any technical solution, which I've had to learn as well, you don't need to understand the final the minor, finer technical details of how it comes together. All right, it's the principle of what it can do. So what I've learned to do actually when talking to senior execs is to keep my messaging pretty simple, focus on the specific use case and what the technology can do to support it. And it tends to resonate with people as well when you can relate to a real life scenario or a problem rather than talking specifically to the complexities of blockchain itself. So your real life examples is what tends to bring it to life for people and help them understand.
Absolutely.
Right? But there's certainly, I think there has to be a high level understanding of what it does. And that's just a journey I think that you need to go on. You need to be curious and you need to seek to understand as well without getting too technical.
Great. And perhaps maybe after this you can use this Blockchain Bytes session to show your guys as well.
Absolutely.
Where do you think, where do you see decentralized digital ledger technology or distributed ledger technology heading? Do we need to draw attention to it, or do we just let it run its course and talk about the benefits rather than the how?
Oh, yeah, tough question. But I guess what I would do there is probably just reflect on my journey that I've been on over the last 5 years. And at this stage, from my discussion and analysis with a wide network, there isn't yet a significant uplift at this stage. All right. If I again go back 5 years, there was a lot of hype. Right, there was a lot of people talking about lots of opportunities to do a lot of different things with blockchain, and I think as people have developed a greater level of understanding of the technology and the challenges, all right, like anything, there's challenges, but there's positives as well. The use cases have kind of just dropped off a wee bit, but I absolutely see a place for blockchain-based solutions in the future. But in my personal opinion, I think large-scale adoption of cross-border supply chain solutions are probably a number of years away yet. All right. But as the global use of supply chain blockchain solutions increases, therefore the likely uptake in New Zealand will increase as well. But yes, I think it's just as people's familiarity grows and the technical skills develop in New Zealand as well, the uptake will also increase. And people need to be able to align these new technologies with their existing systems and processes. And often there's additional cost to bring blockchain solutions into your landscape. And you've got to plan for that. You've got to consider that. And it could be a pretty transformational change to bring some of these technologies into your end-to-end process. So I'm sure it will happen. It's just a matter of time.
You preempted my question, because I was going to ask you about sort of what kind of scope and opportunity there was going to be for us here in sort of New Zealand, Aotearoa, to develop our own innovative technology solutions. But you still think that's a little bit away yet?
Yes, I do, in my opinion. Yep. Although I'm no blockchain tech expert, and I guess my knowledge is very focused on my own individual use case. But yeah, I definitely think that it's but I think that understanding is growing and people's awareness is growing. But I think it will take time, like anything, to adapt.
What's next for Rachael Ireland? I mean, you've nailed the electronic bill of lading. Is there another sort of digital transformation challenge that you've now set your sights on?
Look, I haven't nailed the electronic bill of lading until I've got it in wide scale use. So that is a challenge I continue to work through every day. I want this too much to be able to sit and wait. So we're certainly continuing to drive for a viable and sustainable solution in relation to e-bill. But as for other digital initiatives, there's always plenty on the horizon. I'm in the middle of a digital program at the moment encompassing machine learning for a reasonably complex part of our business, extending our use of robotics process automation, doing various enhancements to increase our levels of straight-through processing. So I absolutely see a future of paperless trade becoming a reality in the not too distant future. So that's where my world is really, as to what can we do to eliminate paper in the cross-border trade environment. And that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I'll continue to drive.
Great. Rachael, it's been delightful talking to you. Yes. And obviously part of what we're trying to do here at New Zealand Blockchain Forums is really ramp up and drive the understanding and the benefits of what the technology is for here, as you know, and we live in here in the Hawke's Bay. I mean, this is the classic place of where more and more companies should be looking at not just using bill of lading, but the idea of the blockchain to get out and about and spread their messages and sell their products in a much more clean and easy way. So, you know, we live in interesting times. we are still planning on doing something this year to try and bring the community together, where we can actually do a face-to-face discussion about all of this.
That would be great.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. And certainly if anyone wants to reach out in relation to specifically around the electronic bill of lading, I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.